What's up, guys? The bros here from a long Christmas holiday break. Kind of unavoidable. I got really busy at work. We had a lot of holiday stuff going on. Not to mention, there wasn't a whole lot of things going on in the Pokemon world. I mean, a few tournaments here and there, but there wasn't any regionals, no large tournaments. Seemed like everybody in the Pokemon world decided to take a decent Christmas break.
Yeah. Sean's right. Nothing crazy's happened. The standings for the leaderboards haven't changed much. Winners, regionals, events. There just hasn't been anything through December because it's just that time of year.
I feel like in some ways kind of needed it. I know I came off of 3 back-to-backs in 3 months, so by that I mean an event to another event, and you're probably saying, how is that possible? We haven't had back-to-back regionals in the past 2 seasons. I did a couple other events other than regional events like Gen Con and PAX and stuff like that. That throws in double weekend, so I know myself I needed a little bit of a break in December.
That's a lot coming from this guy.
Yeah, I know. I constantly go. But I've been learning that you got to balance that a little bit out with some break time as well. So we really didn't record or really didn't do much. Honestly, didn't run many online tournaments because the way everything fell, I was working a lot over Christmas. Tuesdays was just impossible to run tournaments. Trying to get to league, but there wasn't league half of the time because the holidays fell on Wednesday this year.
Our league is on Wednesdays and Sundays, and Christmas Eve was on a Wednesday, and New Year's Eve was on a Wednesday, so we just didn't have league a couple times, so we were just really, really Pokemon-less.
Yes. I mean, I know they've been working in the background, of course, prepping up for Toronto. Everybody who's been playing Pokemon has seen the rise of Kangaskhan, and we'll get to that later.
Monster, sponsor us.
Eventually they will.
Maybe. Somebody's got to send it there. If you know Monster, send them these videos.
You work for Monster, send them this video. But no, a lot of people have been working the Kangaskhan. Like I said, we'll get to this later, but at League last night, that was 2 out of 3 decks I played had a Kangaskhan in it.
Yeah, so we can thank old Kenny because he gave me a list. I took it to an event one day, and then people were like, that's really cool and weird, and it beats all of us. And now, it's 15% of our local meta.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll get into that more later when we get into the meat and potatoes of some TCG stuff leading up to Toronto. But again, we're gonna save a lot of that for later. The big stuff coming from Pokemon, which if you're on Twitter, you've seen it. Not super huge news. I mean, kind of. The updated rule change for quarter 4. All right, so we got the images here. I'll put up. We're gonna swap over to our second screen here, and we're gonna throw all this stuff away and throw the Poke Bulletin up. So this is what was posted by Pokemon a little bit ago, summarizing some changes for the play Pokemon rules, which I know some people are eagerly awaiting the finale of them. They are not done yet. They're still working on some changes. But we'll go down the list as this reads here. So for our Go players, the Go handbook has been updated to clarify about what Pokemon and attacks become tournament legal. I'm not very well versed on Go, but I know when things drop, attacks and things can cause issues. Overpowered Pokemon instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get ahead of that, so that way they have more of a... I mean, they have a meta game, but more of a control on how the matches go, in a way. You know, instead of, like, somebody figuring out this overpowered attack before, as soon as it drops. All right, the big one here. TCG handbook is supposed to be updated, reinstating the turn tracker section.
Yep.
Clarifying end-of-round processes are +1 turn, going from the +3 to +1, and added a new line to the tempo of play table for deck search first of game. Before I go any further, this is by far the big one everybody's looking for. I have done my searching far and wide. It is not out there yet. It is proposed change, but what they actually are saying, I cannot find exactly what it is.
So, from playing for a while, there was never an official rule that said people could take the up to 2 minutes for a first deck search. All deck searches are supposed to be considered the same. eventually people just got more inclined to let you do a full search instead of taking 20, 30, 40 seconds every search to try and figure out your combos. And I think that's where it just kind of got the unwritten rule, and people would get kind of upset when you would say, no, your turns, you need to finish your action. And then the higher up players, you see them do full on deck splits. I've seen some players will separate every single supporter, Pokemon, energy, and count them all out, write them down, and then shuffle their deck back up. It takes them like 5 minutes. And that's just wasting way too much time. And that is considered time manipulation. So if we go to what effectively is every search is a 15-second search, people need to be more accountable to tell your opponents, hey, you've taken 20 seconds. You need to do another action now, or I'm calling a judge.
Yeah, and as a judge, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me this question over the past couple months with these extenuating turn searches, first turn searches, not to mention the change in time. So we changed the time and didn't change the searches. So as we figured out, if everybody takes a 2-minute deck search in every game, that's 12 minutes out of that 50 minutes. That's, 38 minutes? My math is right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So from 50 to 30.
So you're essentially, if each player takes 2 minutes, let's just hypothetically say they take an exact 2 minutes, like it's a timer, like we're playing chess or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that world, they take 2 minutes. You only have 38 minutes to finish 3 games.
Right. And there are many players that will compensate the time frame by just completely skipping their own deck search, to make up for the time that their opponent did, which then hurts them even more because they didn't do any type of checking. They're just like, all right, cool. If I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. My opponent wasted too much of my time. I need to get through these games.
Yeah, I've been in that situation. I don't play a lot as much. I do way more judging than playing, but play a lot of fast decks. If you've watched any of these episodes, I'm always on Goldango, like a Saraledge, Miraidon. Those are decks, that first game, I'll do a solid check, but if I know that I'm running out of time because I'm playing a Guardy or a Stall or a Wall deck, I can think back to Puerto Rico last year and played that Snorlax deck. I knew I had to play fast, so that in those second games, I'm not checking as well. If not as well, I mean, I'm looking for, is my pink card there, being A-Spec. Let's see, how many Glimmer Energies do I see? Do I have enough? Cool. But like Tiger said, that hurts me in the long run because even doing a half check hurts you because that one card that you can assume is there isn't there when you go to search for it and 100% need it.
Right. And I promise, guys, us looking at our phones is not us ignoring the screen. We're old, so we can't see the little screen very well. So looking at different things, also lining up a special bonus episode of an interview. We've had one before. You guys know him. We love him. One of the top 5 players of the nation, Cal Connor, will be doing another special interview with us as soon as we get done with this. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the Toronto meta. Yeah. So just once you watch this and you see it when it was uploaded, be ready to watch the next episode of the special mini episode with Cal Connor.
Yeah, that's why I said we'll get more into the meat and potatoes. We won't really touch too much into meta on this one. A little bit on Toronto, what we've been playing at the end, but we're going to save a lot of that for the 2 competitors to talk about it so you guys get top-notch advice and direction. I mean, any more on that first turn deck search? I mean, that's the big one here.
No, I do think that if they're going to go back to the turn checker, that means that if somebody's yelling, hey, first turn slow play, that a judge is going to have to come over and be like, look, you have 15 seconds. It's 2 minutes into the turn. I'm going to give you 1:30 back, but you need to make an action now.
Yeah. I mean, this also, I'll be devil's advocate here. I was messing around in the chat with hashtag flip over the prize cards. And I don't quite literally mean that, but I'll be that one person that says if we do get to a point to where we get to see the prize cards ahead of time, I hate to say it, that would cut that first turn deck search out. If there was a time period where all players could agree on 15, 20, 30 seconds that they get to look at them, shuffle them, of course. I'm not saying lay them out.
Shuffle them, hand them to your opponent shuffles them, and you put them back.
But that cuts out that extenuating, that long search at the very beginning of the game because you already know what's over there.
Right.
It's shuffled back up. If you shuffle it, hand it to your opponent, and they shuffle it, there's no way you know where any of those cards are.
Correct.
I mean, like I said, what's your point? What do you feel on that? Because this goes along with that the first.
I do think that would be the fastest fix. I don't know if that would be the most efficient fix.
Yeah, I don't.
But I definitely think that would be the fastest fix. But that eliminates the need for cards like, well, I guess it wouldn't eliminate the need for cards for like Hisuian Heavy Ball or Town Map because you can still get cards out of your prizes.
Well, now you know that there's one there, so like I guess whenever you played the Hisuian Heavy Ball and you didn't know and you didn't prize.
Yeah, because if you played 3 Nest Balls and a Heavy Ball and you started the Heavy Ball, you played it because you didn't do a deck search yet. So you hoped there was something there that could help you play. So. And then Town Map, it still effectively just flipped it over so you can pick the order of the cards you wanted. Yeah. So cards like that would still be useful. They would just be not as impactful.
Yeah, that's actually, someone else did bring up a good point. I think it was Wiggles in the chat about flipping over prize cards. I never really thought about this as a little sidebar with Town Map. I've done it in GLC. Sometimes it's not a good play to play Town Map. If your prizes are really bad for you, you reveal that to your opponent. And I think he used the example of, go ahead and flip over your 2 Guardies and your prizes and let me know I pretty much win this game.
Yes.
I mean, so I guess to my point of reprint Town Map, that probably isn't a great idea because players will play it not realizing that might put them at somewhat of a severe disadvantage.
Correct. And any tech cards that might have been into the prizes that were specifically for that matchup, you now know about them.
Yeah.
Those things, so I would not say that flipped over would be correct because of that. But other than surprise random techs and prizing your 2 of Guardies or your 2 of Charizards.
All your Dreebies.
Yeah. Multiples of like your actual engine, it would be fine. The other problem that you would have with it is that we would have to change the rule that you can take your prizes from anywhere.
Yeah.
You would have to follow where they were on suit. Or you would say from the beginning that I pull top bottom, I pull from bottom top, and that would be how you would have to do it to your opponent.
Yeah, because that's a big plus in GLC. I am not going to lie. It's another reason why I do play it fast, even if it puts me at a disadvantage, because I don't have to guess what I'm grabbing. If Rillaboom is stuck in the prizes and I'm almost up there, I can easily just pluck that one out.
Yeah.
But, alright, we'll move on from there. The rest of this is not really big stuff. We got one other big topic after this one. The VGC handbook included information on multi-accounting. Again, not very well versed on VGC either. Clarified process for player ID discrepancies at CP events and added a new line to the list of prohibited actions in the concessions and intentional draws section. So that is the second, I would say, almost equally big thing we were going to talk about. And I'll pull that up right now. So,
because at VG, they don't really have draws because there's a time limit and your Pokemon, and you either win or you lose.
Yeah, so this whole section only applies to TCG because it's the only game in which Pokemon supports at a regional level, or any level for that sake, that can concede, because you cannot concede and go either.
There is very, very, very small realms where VG can have a tie. And it is normally like double KOs in Game 3 of a match. Those type of things can happen, but it is so small that it's not actually part of the rules. You would have to have somebody use like self-destruct, and it blows up the whole board at the exact same time.
Alright. This thing is blocking me. I didn't realize that when I set that up. Alright, so those of you that were paying attention when I pulled it up, the next topic we were talking about were the concessions and intentional draws. Back again with our old eyesight, there is absolutely no way I can read that off the screen. So we're just going to highlight some of the big things on here. And, of course, interrupt me, Tiger, if you think something is important and I'm not saying it. But mainly it does put some updates to this intentional draws. So the bigger oversight is matches should be decided by gameplay alone, not other means. Keep that in mind. So competitors may not decide the outcome of the match prior to the start or by using informal agreements. Bribery, which has always been not allowed, with prizing or money is a violation. Both are considered match fixing, meaning that you are deciding it before the match even. The game never even got to play it out. And may result in a penalty outlined in Section 7 of this document. But players are permitted to concede. I jammed my words up there. To their opponent for any reason. Again, TCG, we do find a point to where there could be no winner or no way to win, and you are able to concede. And to caveat a little bit off of this, we can talk about how the scooping effect.
Yes.
You know what we're talking about? So before we continue there, so those new players out there, why would I concede a match? I don't want to give up.
Correct.
Tiger, why would you concede a game in a situation in a regional?
So say you're playing Charizard and your opponent's playing Dragapult, and they made you go first because Dragapult wants to go second, and you're not playing the good go first version of Charizard. And you get, okay, cool, Duskull pass. And then they go, all right, Badoo. And now your next turn, you can't play your Arven to go find your buddy Poffin. You can't play your Nest Ball. So you play your Iono, and you still find nothing. And now you're at Duskull pass again. Your opponent's, all right, we evolved into Dracloak. And then I've got my Duskull, I put a Duskull down on the board. And they item lock you for another turn. And you're literally facing down, lost next turn, if they find evolution of the Dusclops or the Dragapult. Because you've got nothing going on. So it comes to your turn. You go, okay, top deck. I've got a Pidgey now. So you put your Pidgey down and you say, okay, hopefully they can't win. You've wasted 3 turns hoping to play the game. Now, that could be 10 minutes worth of your opponent playing Nest Ball for Latias, Buddy for your Badoo plus Dreepy, then Lily's Determination, and Ultra Ball for this and that. And they've done a handful of actions to get their game going. You've wasted too much time because potentially next turn they could win. But Tiger, potentially next turn they could mess up. You're right, but if you're at a regional level gameplay and they're that far ahead, you need to give yourself the most time. If you want to wait to see if they go and play the card and then you say, all right, cool, you win and pick up your cards, sure. That's an extra 10 seconds that you could use, but that 10 seconds would make you feel better. Take your 10 seconds. But make sure that on the moment you realize that it is unwinnable for you to come back because they've got you spawn camped. And what I mean by that is, so say Dragapult can do 6 on the bench. Your little guys, your Pidgey, your Duskull, your Charmanders, as soon as they're coming in, all right, cool. I go Dragapult punch to KO the active and 6 on the bench with a Hawlucha. Now I got your Charmander as well. Or I went and got your Pidgey. Now you have no way to search anything. And you're sitting there with a lone Charmander. But I'm still not out of the game yet. You're out of the game. Unless you legitimately have Iono to 2, Rare Candy, Charizard, Max Belt.
Very specific cards.
Yeah, you're out of the game. And you need to stop thinking that you can make these comebacks against decks that play from behind, especially. Gardevoir, Dragapult. When Goldango is up 3 prize cards, you're not coming back from that, people. I don't think we understand as a whole. You need to just accept it and give yourself a chance to win the next 2 games.
We're going to have to run a webinar on how to scoop effectively one time. But we've talked about it enough.
That might be something that we'll ask in our bonus episode. If you guys want to make sure that you want to understand how to scoop, we'll have Cal explain that to you guys.
Don't just take our opinion for it. We'll have you ask somebody else.
One of the top 5 players in the nation can tell you scooping is important.
All right, so that little caveat was very well put in there because that's a question a lot of new players might have. Why am I conceding? If you're out there in a cup and you've wondered why your games are taking so long, it's a best-of-3 cup, you're never finishing your 3 games, that's why. But the second line of this is also important. We talked about this before recording. So I'll read the line again. However, competitors are permitted to concede to their opponent for any reason, in the case of Pokemon TCG only, and they also are able to make a single offer to draw the game during the match. Before we talk about it, hear the rest of this. Play Pokemon and tournament staff do not enforce or recognize such agreements between competitors during their match, so competitors concede or intentionally draw accepting the potential outcomes of these decisions. All right, to break that down in my little perspective, then we'll get to the player perspective here. That means a judge is not monitoring whether you and John say what's going to happen, whether you're conceding or giving up the match. We are not going to, we cannot enforce that. Let's just break it down to a team of 10 or 12 judges at the size of regionals now, covering 4 to 5, maybe 600 tables, depending on how the setup is. There is absolutely no way that 10 judges with a head judge, assistant head judge, I should say, can literally hear everybody and know everybody's decision to enforce it later on. When that player is like, Judge, this guy, he said he was going to give up the game to me when we started playing. It didn't matter the outcome. And now that he won and had a good hand, he's taken the win. We cannot enforce that. There's absolutely zero way that we have any evidence to be like, well, sure, yeah, I heard him say that.
If you guys are getting into an agreement, like you got up paired into somebody who's already in and they said that they would scoop you into day 2, do not play the game. Do not give them a reason to do anything. But in general, you cannot ask for them to concede to you. You cannot ask more than once for an ID. And that is it. If you go to do a gentleman's agreement, which is what a lot of people, next big question would be is, well, how do we do that? There is no more on-board state gentleman's agreement.
That's actually a little further down too, but go ahead.
Because we'll get into it with the next statement, but to explain it because it doesn't get explained very well. So on board state, you're like, all right, well, I have boss for game next turn. That doesn't matter anymore. You cannot use that as an excuse because anything that is not on the board at the moment of time being called and the final turn being played is not allowed to be used as a way to define the game. And if a judge hears you say, well, I can search for boss, or I have this, or I have that, it's an automatic tie. They can come over and say, sign the slip now.
Yep.
So do not do a gentleman's agreement on anything other than prize cards.
Yeah, so right here, to get on that same point, I'm trying to find the exact wording. It's on the bottom of the bulletins, but we're going to jump ahead to it. Deciding the results of the match through random means, coin flip, dice roll, which has always been a thing, or through any other choosing method, which some players that have played in the game for a while, there's been that one where it's top deck, or prizes, or this or that, or if I had this, like, all right, lay out hands. If I do this and I do that, and then you do this, you do that, I've seen it. I'm not saying I've seen it at a regional so much. I've seen it in more non-standard tournaments. A GLC tournament I participated in did that. But that was the rule. That was in the description. Every player knew that going in because ties don't help anybody in that situation. In that long game, you're not playing best of 3 of GLC, so there's going to be a winner, per se.
Correct.
But when we're talking tournament, sanctioned tournament, regionals, locals, cups, that's not going to fly. You're not going to be able to flip over your top deck and be like, whoever had the best top deck wins. That is not a way to decide the match.
Correct. Personal opinions, I think if we can get this first turn deck search under wraps and they want to go back to +3 turns, I think all of our problems will be fixed. Just personal opinion. You guys can quote me on that. Because how many times have we gotten to where your opponent knows that you're down to 4 prize cards left, and if they stretch this turn out, you only get 1 more turn.
Yeah. So the next line is pretty simple. I'm going to shorten this one. Most players that have been to a regional or your cup or challenge runs match slips. Once a match slips is signed, it's final. With the exception of a nervousness, circled the wrong name, and both players are up at the hive and or escorted by a judge. I know if that happens to one of my team, I send a floor judge up with them, so that way there's another verification that the hive doesn't just think two players are acting as somebody else and trying to say that the match was different. Mm-hmm. I mean, because there is an opportunity for that to happen. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying there's an opportunity, a window for someone to exploit that. But yes, if you sign that match slip, it's final. If you sign at the beginning and then you play the game like we just were talking about and then the outcome is different, guess what? It's final. Unless you guys decide to do the whole change it thing and get a judge to go up. But I'll tell you right now as a judge, if they see that on the table and it's signed, they're going to pick it up. Mm-hmm. They're going to pick it up, especially if it's in that time frame where it's that 5 to 7 minutes at the end of the round, where right before end of round and we're trying to roll things over, they're gonna pick it up.
Correct.
And then lastly on this document that we got up here are the bulletins. So we'll just read through those real quick. I'm sure anybody watching has read it multiple times. If not, please do. Competitors are also prohibited from doing the following: asking their opponent to concede. We covered that. Asking again for an intentional draw once their opponent has made it clear they do not wish to do so. Bribing, coercing, or otherwise pressuring your opponent into any match result, which has always been the case. Referring to tournament standings or waiting for other players in progress before deciding to concede or draw. This is important when looking at I guess not Limitless because I've got online tournaments in my head, but a tournament system that would tell you what the outcomes are given everybody's stuff.
Yes.
And the last one we talked about was deciding on result of random means. The last line is any attempt at match fixing or artificial determining the final standings of a tournament are considered a severe violation of play Pokemon standards and tournament integrity and may incur the appropriate penalties as outlined in the play Pokemon penalty guidelines.
So effectively what this means is if you go to one of these cups that have like 50 players at it, and the top 16 people, so the first 8 tables are all like, all right, cool, we can just ID and all of us go in. You can call them out on that now because that is manipulation of the tournament based on results. So you can be like, hey, judge, the top 16 tables, top 8 tables just ID'd because that they are manipulating the next phase of the tournament.
That's 100% manipulation.
So that is 100% manipulation. If one table does it because they're 6-0 apiece, it doesn't matter if either one of them loses. They're both going to the next phase. That will not manipulate the effect of the tournament outcome. But if all 8 of the top tables say, all right, cool, we ID, that literally means that they have manipulated the finals of the event.
Yeah, those 2 6-0s could just have had an exhausting day. I mean, going 6-0, maybe playing 6 long games, no buys. Maybe they wanted a break. And again, that's not manipulating the tournament because probably no matter what, if they're the only 6-0s,
right, that means that a 6-1, 6-1 will still get into your top 16.
So it wouldn't matter if someone lost that game. Someone can completely be like, I just give it up to you. Let's go eat, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go grab something in the food court type.
100%. So that is something new that is being changed. So that means that those people that are always at the at your event saying, hey, can we see the standings before we go into the next round? No.
No, they're not able to.
No, they are. The judge can organizer whoever can put up that after each round what happened, but like if they cannot ask to see the stats so they can try and figure out if you ID, if you concede to this person, if you do that, no, they cannot do that anymore. Yeah. If they do, call them out. That is what kind of penalty is that for tournament manipulation?
I will look that up. It's not one I currently give out very much, but I will look it up real quick. Just go ahead and continue. I'll have an answer in 3 seconds.
So Sean's going to look up that. I would assume that would be the same. That would be a very major penalty. Could be anything from a game loss to a DQ.
Yeah, it's definitely one I've never personally ever passed out. First off,
so like when you go to a cup and there's a group that shows up and they're like, well, if you concede, that means that we'll have 3 people at blah, blah, blah level. That means I can get in. that is coercing people to manipulate a tournament's standing to benefit you, which is not legal in the way it's written. And it wasn't legal to begin with, but there was no penalty for saying, hey, if we all do this, we all get in. Because before that, it was not considered manipulation. It was, but it wasn't penalized manipulation. But going forward with that, there will be real penalties. And if you are upset about you got a loss round 1 and you've had to crawl all the way up for the next 4 rounds, and then you got a tie because somebody played slow, so now you're 3-1-1, but you needed to be 4-0-1 or 4-1 to get into your top cut, these people cannot make an ID to where them all going 3-0-2 pushed you out of the event.
There we go. They've changed everything so much on here. Takes me forever to find it. Alright, so get to penalties. Yeah, they've upped. If anybody's listening, the professors that I know out there, they've changed so much with the program itself. It all used to be in one document. Now it's in separate documents. So I'm trying to find where they used to outline what kind of penalties were what. You know what I mean? Because that's not a game state error because there is no game state going on, and that's honestly 90% of
it's not a game state error. That is a tournament manipulation, which is, I would assume, a higher level penalty.
Usually starts off with a much higher baseline.
And these are things that if you know groups of people that are doing these things at multiple cups, you should need to be going into the handbook and getting the screenshots so you can show the tournament organizers that aren't keeping up with it well enough that is not an okay thing, and that will get them in trouble if their organizer is like friends of the players and they're just like, well, I said it's fine, so it's okay, because that's not how rules work.
I mean, like I said, it's definitely not under gameplay errors. Could actually fall under cheating the way that it's read.
And how does cheating read?
Cheating is a violation of the spirit of the game and the integrity of Pokemon play tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Both of that
would fall under that.
I mean, I guess if in Tiger's situation, we've got a round table of 4 people and they all say, hey, yo, let's ID so that we all get in. And the players that have been playing in the tournament and the lower tables hear that could be considered that.
Right, because it's disheartening and it is not in the spirit of the game that these other players do not have a chance to fight for their way in.
It wouldn't fall under unsporting, because unsporting would be more like harsh terms, me hitting you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the only other option would be procedural error. So I guess in a smaller situation where it was like somebody didn't understand the rules, that like a group of 4 guys decided that they were going to manipulate the top 4 at a smaller tournament so that they all got in. The bros go, right?
Yeah.
They all manipulate it like hardcore, you know what I'm saying, do that. That could, I'm a guess, see, but I think, honestly, reading it the way they're outlining it, it'll probably end up under a major for cheating.
Yeah, because, so at a regional level...
Major procedural for sure. And then cheating starts off at pretty high. Like, there are no escalations or de-escalating in that. I mean, it's pretty much just like, I mean, we all know the Gabriel Fernandez story.
So effectively, just play your matches. That is the easiest way to not get called out as cheating and tournament manipulation, because the difference between a cup and a regional is every person that gets to a certain point threshold get to go to the next event phase. This eliminates people from being able to do that. Mm-hmm. Because even if it's at a regional, we need to go 5-2-1, and everybody and their brother at 5-0 or better IDs, that doesn't affect you to win your 4-2-1.
No.
You can still win your 4-2-1 and make it to the second phase. With cups and below, it is effectively manipulating players out of a position.
All right. So on this, again, you guys can all see this stuff for sure. The newer stuff we can't yet. Like I said, they are updating it. As soon as it is, we'll have it updated. When you go to the website, this will be what you see. Like I say, they got the play updated. For page 2, they show an outline what's updated and what. And then the third page here will cover some league rules and resources. We didn't really touch on that, but as new prize cards are coming out, it also outlines a little more on what leagues can do with their prizes, as in reuse them for other events. One of the headlining suggestions was give them to new players that may have missed out on them before. You got a new family that comes in, and you got an old stack of prize cards, 5s and 6s hanging out. Pass those out as some extra door gifts. Here for being new to the league, take this as a new league welcome package. I know a lot of professors that do that. Put a deck box, ETB sleeves, simple dice. Some that didn't cost them anything because they either got or had, like the Pikachu dice.
Yes.
A lot of people had a ton of those Pikachu dice. They resent them out multiple times. Those are perfect opportunities and items to put a new league trainer pack together.
Correct.
So that's what it outlines on there. So for all my TOs out there, that would be something for you to pay attention to. But yeah, that's pretty much the cap on the updated rules. Like I said, we're still missing some gaps because we do not have the exact terms on first turn deck search. We can speculate just like everybody else. I mean, again, I don't know what it's going to be, but I have said in the past, like once they have a rule, we will be able to enforce rule. But there hasn't been a rule. Going back to the first subject when Tiger was talking, it's kind of just been assumed that the first turn search is going to take a minute or so. Like getting to 2-3 minutes is kind of excessive, but I know sometimes when I'm in a serious game, I'm going to take a few seconds. I'm not going to fully separate like he was saying, but depending on what I'm playing, I'm going to pull out some important cards and make sure they are present.
Right. And you get 15 seconds per deck search, guys. So, like, if your first deck search is moving every single one of your basics to the back so you know what your options are and looking at what your goal is for the next turn, that doesn't take more than 20 seconds.
I do that all the time.
And I don't think anybody's going to get mad at you because no one's going to sit there and go 1, 2, 3 to 15. Yeah. And if they do, it needs to be because you've taken multiple times at 30 or 40 seconds.
You got a history of doing this. Perfect example. I can think back to last night as he was talking. So, Goldango with the rocks. It doesn't matter whether you're playing Bunny, Lucario, Mawile. Either way, you're playing Gimme Ghouls and you're playing rocks. So you have Nest Balls, you have Gongs, you have Buddy Poffins. So those are some choices there, depending on what I have in my opening hand. So like to Tiger's point there, if I have, say, Buddy, Nest Ball, and a Gong, just for the sake of this example, I'm going to play one and get all my basics and separate them to the bottom. Make my decision within that time frame. Put it down. Set deck down. Be like, I'm going back in. Play the Gong. And now I have more information on what that Gong needs to get. Maybe now I see that a Gong doesn't need to get me a Pokemon. Maybe now it gets me the energy.
Correct.
Because the Nest Ball got me the Pokemon and the Buddy is going to get the gimmies.
Correct.
You can see where I'm going with this.
Playing more cards will give you more time, but do not abuse it because that is time manipulation. So if I go Buddy, get one Pokemon. Buddy, get one Pokemon.
That's 100% clear.
Because you could have gotten both Pokemon off the Buddy.
Yeah.
So what you can do is say, Buddy, fail. Buddy, get your 2 Pokemon because you wanted to thin the cards out of your hand.
That is true. I've seen him do that a couple times.
I have played 4 Nest Balls in a row and gotten 1 Pokemon because I said I failed the first 3. Yeah. Because I didn't need anything. I just needed to get those cards out of my hand so when I got Iono'd, they weren't something I would draw into.
Yeah, that Buddy example he just said is a clear cut. I don't know how you can't see that as if you do Buddy and use it as if they're 2 separate Nest Balls and then take the time. Your opponent better have their hand up. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing at that point. Like that's
those are legal, but those are not time manipulation legals because they could have been done with one action.
Yeah, get a judge involved. Don't be afraid. Get a warning on that player for that. I mean, and that's not going to hurt nothing. That's going to the whole idea of a warning for those out there is not to punish you, but to keep a record of what players are doing. If you are playing against someone who you think is doing questionable things, call a judge. Worst case, it's nothing. Best case, that it's something small, they get a warning, and then now Just like when you were a kid and you got smacked for getting your hand in the cookie jar. I can't think of a better metaphor.
Yep.
You learn to not stick your hand in the cookie jar.
You will not push your limits as much with people already know you're pushing limits.
Exactly.
I don't really have anything else to say on rules and things like that.
I was gonna say that's it. Moving on to, like we were talking about at the beginning, December was a little bit of a break, but just like Pokemon has done in the past couple seasons, hitting the ground running in January. So we got Toronto next week.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you got EUIC, then Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't write EUIC down. You got Puerto Rico and Houston in March. You got Orlando in April. Right after that, you got Indianapolis and LA. And then you got NAIC in June. Sorry, Indianapolis and LA was in May. And then finishing up the season in New Orleans. I mean, we all know NAIC is like the capstone tournament of the season.
Yeah, if you're not qualified for Worlds, that is the biggest event of every year.
Or if you have qualified, that's where you're really going to push it or not push it. Depends on if you qualify.
Yeah, if you know you're already in the top 135, you're like, all right, cool, we're going to go have some fun at NAIC, go to, Bourbon Street, and have some fun.
It is fun. But the more recent one, so Toronto, we led on to it a little bit with Kangaskhan, and of course, Charizard main here, Charizard bot, if we had to call him a Charizard bot.
I'm a Zard bot.
Those have been your two tops that you've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I want to save a lot more of the competitive talk for when we get Cal on here so that we get some really viable information that viewers can really use and take into their testing. But what's your feelings on either one of those decks right now?
I think Kangaskhan has a very linear set of matchups going into the event. And if any of those matchups have the text to deal with it, then it's just not it. It's going to lose. Lucario
saved me yesterday.
Klefki. There's lots of different random pieces that just beat the Kangaskhan matchup. Klefki helps to get through the duck so you can use your Dusknoirs. Lucario or Mawile are just better attackers into Cornerstone with the new technologies that some of these Kangaskhan's are playing with. I will not spoil the support these special attackers and tech cards because of one of my new good friends, old Kenny Pakalaka, the Kangas King himself, has been working with many, many, many different variants and many different special cards to deal with things.
Well, there's a breadcrumb. Go find Kenny Pakalaka on Twitter and see if he's leaking any of his own sauce. Maybe you'll figure it out.
Pakalaka TCG.
Yeah, maybe you'll figure it out that way. But yeah, I agree with Tiger there. I've been listening to all their conversations. I don't necessarily play heavily as much, but yeah, there's some spice going on there. So what about Don and Friends?
The old Donzard, Don and Friends, Donzard, Owls, whatever you want to call it. I think that is extremely well positioned. I think that it just depends on how well other people think it's positioned. Watchtower is very scary. But if they're only playing one and they don't have a way to search it, I'm not that worried about it. If you are scared of it, you could be playing Chin Pao, not the Shivery Chill Chin Pao. There's another Chin Pao that is Pumpkaboo from an older set.
Yes.
It's just you play it down and it discards a stadium. So you can go, all right, cool, we're going to go Dawn for Chin Pao, Noctowl, and Charizard. And Chin Pao bumps a stadium. Noctowl gets my piece, and I rare candy into Charizard.
Yeah, because that Watchtower, I mean, I guess I didn't realize how damning it was for Dawn and Friends, because, like, you quite literally, your whole idea is using the Noctowls to find your pieces. They slap down a Watchtower, and you just can't remove it. And there's not a heavy stadium play. You
can preemptively set up by having an extra Charmander on your on the board, because the Blazing Destruction attack for 1 fire energy does discard a stadium.
Oh, yeah.
So you can sacrifice a little lizard to make your big lizard win the game. That is an option. Also preemptively putting an energy on Pidgeot. So if at any point you can just attach a second energy to it, Blustery Wind does hit for 120 and discards a stadium.
Oh, so it does have the technology to deal with
You just have to play differently.
Sounds like you got to be a smarter Charizard player than the average, like...
Right, you got to be smarter than the average lizard.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Charizard used to be evolve, blah, blah, smack. And now looking at Dawn and friends, I mean, pulling out the way you're pulling out the Evos, the basics, and, like, talking to someone yesterday, I was like, looking at it when it came out with Forest, I guess in my mind, it was like, you get everything, you place it down, but... its versatility is way more wide than just getting your line set up.
Wide lineups.
Getting multiple lines set up. It's a nest ball for your EX.
Yeah.
It's a timer ball for your mid stage, and I can't think of one that allowed you to grab a stage 2 specifically from back in the day. I don't think there ever was one that specifically said grab a stage 2.
No, not that I know.
It always was just Evo or Ultra Ball or grab whatever. But yeah, or just Ultra Ball as your third, and it's all in one supporter.
Correct. Now, a lot of you guys that are on Verbank or on Twitter and whatnot have seen my personal list. I am playing with putting the Clef Key back in it. The Hilda, that is the one big thing that everybody notices, that I'm playing a 1 of Hilda instead of 4 Dawns. There's just a lot of times that finding a jet energy off of a Noctowl is really, really important, because you go, all right, Hilda, Noctowl for Hilda plus Candy. And then you go Hilda for jet energy plus Pidgeot. You rare Candy into Pidgeot. Pidgeot finds you your turtle that turn, or whatever. You had to have a Terra on board anyway, so it finds you, I don't know, Crystal, and then you go Jet Crystal, and your turtle swinging out of nowhere, even if they chased your Charmanders. It just gives you the versatility to keep playing the game, or what is it, Wellspring. We see that I play the Wellspring.
I hate that card so much.
Charizard only gets you 3 energies, so if you got really good setup with the Noctowls, you can go Hilda for the Charizard. So Noctowl for Hilda and Rare Candy, and then Charizard will go, all right, cool. Here's your 3 energies. Hilda found me the water energy because I couldn't get the crystal out that turn. Or if you had the crystal, it's just the 4th energy, so you can have Wellspring and Charizard powered up in the same turn. It just gives you a lot more flexibility than just, all right, here's 3 Pokemon. And sometimes flexibility is more important than raw consistency.
I can agree with that.
You're already playing 3 of them in an Ultra Ball and 3 Noctowls. You're going to find your pieces. So, be flexible.
Ultra consistent decks get it done, but it's always that little bit of spice that ends up throwing things up. I mean, I'm not saying that's always the case. Sometimes, what was the Guardy list that you always talk about? The one that was set in stone there for a few tournaments?
The Brixty, the Brent Tonneson 60.
That's what it was, yeah, the Brixty. Obviously, decks like that happen to where it's this 60. If you're not playing this, what are you doing?
Right.
But I always say 55, where it's 55 cards of the same build, but, what's the other 5 cards? What do you have?
Can I squeak in a special one of Attacker? Can I squeak in an extra Disruption card? Can I squeak in another Brave Charm to go with my XYZ deck? Do I need another Night Stretcher to go back-to-back turns of this thing? What 1 of or 2 of cards can be put into that to just say, this is why I like this deck?
Well, and it throws off counts. I mean, in game 1, it's whatever. A lot of times players at Worldfire always wonder my energy counts because they're always somewhat awkward. Me, personally, I usually have 1 extra, or, I am bad at managing, so that helps me out. But it also helps me in the long run because players are expecting X amount, and then there's an extra 1.
Easy example for that, to go with what Sean's saying about slightly different counts. If we know the standard for Charizard right now is 2 Boss and a Gust, whether it's Counter Catcher or Prime Catcher, and you see all 3 of those in the discard pile, and you're like, all right, cool, he can't Gust past this 1 prize or this turn, and that's what I need to win the game is 1 extra turn. And then they go Pidgeot for Boss. You were like, what? But no, decks don't do that, and that's why he put it in there, or she.
Yeah. In a game, a best of 3, if that's game 1, you might have rocked that player's mental for the whole rest of your deck list.
Yeah, because now they're like, what else are they playing different?
Wait, hold on. Maybe I didn't. And then they're like doing the whole math calculation meme in their head.
What card are they not playing to add room for this? And that's the thing. Slight differentiations to the standard can hurt and help just as much. Because it can help you get past the stigmas of, all right, cool, he has no way out of the active, so I'm going to boss the fat guy up. It has the 2 retreat costs. He only has 1 energy left. He can't do it. And then out of nowhere, you see attach return, and you're like, all right, he's bluffing. Next turn, he gets attach return, and you're like, he has more energies than the average does.
Yeah.
Or they're playing 4 jets instead of the average 2 in a deck. These little changes that don't hurt the deck, but hurts the overall basic knowledge of the status quo or the static number in these decks can throw off your whole game, because now you're like, all right, well, I have to check every single time in their discard pile. Does this person have 3 bosses in there now? Does this person have all 7 energies in there? Is there 8 energies on the board?
Adding a whole nother layer to that game 2.
Yes.
And now in game 3, they might have a good idea what their deck list is. How much time is left? Did they even win game 2 because they were
you stayed in the game a little longer because you were like, they don't have a boss, I can just win this, and they don't know that I have game in hand, blah, 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 blah. And then 20 minutes has gone past because they're playing out their actions because they know they still have that extra boss. And then you're like, all right, cool. I have to fly through game 2 with a slight extra knowledge that I know that they play a 3rd boss.
So a little tidbit there. Like I said, sometimes the slight changes can hurt and help. It all just depends. But yeah, we're almost at the hour mark. I mean, like I said, we covered a little bit of Toronto, which you've been playing. Looking forward to getting Cal on here, whether it's today, literally, like as we're recording this, or soon. We will be talking to him about some stuff. And like I said, it'd be better for me to step back and not have so much of a... because I don't have as much of a competitive input as you guys would.
Yeah, but you still see the decks. You know what you do and don't like playing against.
Yeah, that's really where my angle is. But to have more of you guys just literally chat it up about, start of the year, starting fresh. I mean, you're what rank now?
I squeaked up to 400 points. It puts me at 116th last I checked. Should probably still stay around there because there hasn't been a major for anybody to get a nice chunk of points.
Yeah, so someone at 116 and someone that's perennial top 5 pushing, for even higher than that. I mean, because he's already got his worlds, right?
He hasn't won it.
But he's got
plenty of points.
He's got plenty of points.
He's got over 1,000 points already.
Just like I used to cover the juniors when my son was playing, like, at some point, they are going to be in no matter what.
Yeah.
Because nobody can, catch them.
Yes.
I don't know if he's at that point, per se. But
I would say that anybody over 1,000 points is guaranteed in.
Yeah.
It was 700 points last year. I'm going to take a stab and say it's only going to be 680 this year.
I think, that's a whole nother topic, but a little bit lead in there was you said the spread of larger tournaments and the change of the structure, right, is adding to that.
We mentioned this a little before. It's going to be a slight off-topic here from the rules. But with the structure change that more people are getting into day 2, it's not actually helping anything because I've gotten a few top 5 12s being like the first person outside of day 2, and you played 5 extra rounds, and I got the same points as you. So, I didn't get a Limitless page for making it to day 2, but we squeaked in the same amount of points. And
if you're point chasing, I mean, I don't want to say that's a bad thing. That's still a dub.
It is to an extent, but you will need to replace them eventually. But that's the yes, you got to play more Pokemon. But if you went in at 7-1-1 and then lost the next 5 for whatever reason, and you end up 7-6-1, you're bumping yourself back from top 32 to top 512 because there's that many more players in day 2.
That's a huge jump.
Because if we went back to old structure and you had to win out of 9 rounds, I don't know, 150 of those players aren't there, so you couldn't go back any further than 256.
Yeah.
But because there's more players, means you can lose a lot further, but these people squeaking in can potentially get up a lot farther. So it does give good and bads, but it means you have to be on your A game both days.
It's like the same thing as, I know this is completely off Pokemon topic, and you're not sports ball, but that's the same thing as
Sports ball, woo-woo!
Extending the college football playoff to 12 teams as they have over the past.
Yeah.
It's good and bad. It gives opportunity, but then you see a lot of different things happening. Not to get too far in it, just the correlation is there.
Yeah, the more people you add to something, the higher chance you have to fall.
Yeah.
Because whether it's a rogue deck that squeaked in that you didn't plan for, or you just hit the gonad of good players in day 2 that were just like, all right, you're playing my 60 because I'm XYZ player. You can't outplay me with my own 60.
I guess that is a good point. For those, that do lay claim to a deck, like the Brixties and the...
Kenny with Kangaskhan, Josh Frank with some of and Alex Szymanski with the Terrorbox stuff going on right now. Things of that nature. What are the Daniel Magda with Goldango? Those type of players that you're playing my 60. How are you going to beat me with it? I know what it can do.
But yeah, that's definitely another topic that maybe even you and Cal should talk on when we get on there, because that is something that you guys would have noticed from previous tournaments to before when it comes to placement of how much larger tournaments are getting and how it actually affects the road to Worlds.
Correct.
That's a good subject. But yeah, we're almost at the hour mark, and that was a good segue off of here. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
The Bros will be signing a Goldango illustration rare in Toronto. We will be only missing Sean's signature because he's not going to be there, but we will be doing a giveaway. Maybe we can figure out how to get Sean's signature on the card as well. When we post the giveaway, we'll give the details of what you have to do to be part of it, and you can get an illustrated Goldang Bros signed Goldango.
Yeah, we'll figure out some way to impose my signature. I mean, my signature is super easy. Someone can copy it. It's just an S and a T, like my artist signature. So yeah, it's just a S and I'll show you, and then I'll show the camera. It's honestly just that. I don't know if you can see that.
Maybe.
It's just,
I see what. Yeah.
I don't know if they can see it, but if you get in the drawing for the card or whenever we have it, you will most definitely see it. It was Timothy, right? Tim?
Yeah, old Tim Tipton, the vice captain of the team.
Yeah, is offering up he just had come up with the idea, wanted to do a giveaway. I said, buddy, that's all more power to you. Like I said, if I had one, I mean, maybe I'll add something to it. Yeah. But I think this is solid. I don't want to step on his toes. Like, this is an illustration rare Goldango from the Goldang Bros. I think it's a pretty solid prize.
Tim is not going to be competing this event in Toronto. He is going to be judging. So if you guys want to go say hi to Tim, he's going to be at the Go tables for this event. Go give him a harassment for not knowing how Go works, and he's going to go judge it.
Go give him a harassment at the Go tables.
Yes. All right, guys, but I think that's it for us. Peace out. Stay lucky.
Stay lucky.